Crypto products are unregulated and could be highly volatile. Please be aware of the risks before investing.
राज, बाबूजी के आशीर्वाद से हमने अपनी नई शुरुआत तो कर ली, पर अपना फ्यूचर प्लान कैसे करें?
बड़े-बड़े शहरों में ऐसी छोटी-छोटी बातें होती रहती हैं।
Looking for perfect start? Get a Bitcoin today. Download the Unocoin app.
जब मैं तेरी उम्र का था ना, तो एक सक्सेसफुल करियर, लॉन्ग टर्म प्लानिंग सब रेडी करके रख चुका था। और एक इन महाराज को देखो, पूरा दिन फोन में लगा रहेगा।
दैट प्लानिंग तो मैंने भी कर रखी है, Unocoin के साथ।
नए जमाने के साथ नई चीजें आजमाएं। Looking for Bitcoin? Download the Unocoin app.
Guys, we really need to work hard. This wasn't a good quarter. Tell me, are you happy with this?
Unocoin.
Want to earn Bitcoin? Just grab your phone and shake it. Download the Unocoin app.
Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin.
Get a systematic buying plan from the Unocoin app to get your Bitcoin today. Download the Unocoin app.
Oops, I was speaking all this while and I was on mute. I'm so sorry. So, yeah, once again, welcome back everyone to another episode of our live stream. Today, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and its all time high before halving with the one and only, my favorite Bitcoiner, Mr. Sunny Ray, the president and the co founder of Unocoin. Hi, Sunny, how are you?
I'm well. How about yourself, Shambhavi?
Oh, I'm super excited and I'm, very energized for our today's session, particularly because first time in the history, all-time high happening before halving, and it's such a massive milestone. What are we looking at here? Wider adoption, more people talking about it, more people coming into the picture. I think, from my perspective, from my understanding, I feel like this is the biggest thing that has happened after the El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as a legal tender thing, in my opinion. because they are
What's the biggest thing? The halving
the
or
all-time
something
high.
or
I feel like a
oh
lot
the
of
the
yeah,
all-time high. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
What do
big
you think
deal.
about that, Sunny? How are you feeling about this whole thing happening?
Oh, it's so funny. This morning I was in the gym and I was working out, had my headphones on and like noise canceling and everything. And I had like, some guy, or not some guy, a guy that I know, come up to me and he's just like talking away. And I'm like, I'm working out. I can't even hear you right now. And then I finally, stopped my set and like took my headphones off. Like, what's up? He's like, oh, I just wanted to say congratulations. He's like, I heard that Bitcoin hit an all-time high. He's like, I'm so happy. And, so I mean, and oh my God, now it's definitely all my friends that from 20 years ago, like the WhatsApp messages, they've begun. We predicted it correctly that it would happen about now, so it's happening, which is great. Yeah, I think more people are getting to know about it, and then we called it, right? We said that once it would hit the all-time high, then people would start caring again. Yeah, and so I think that's happening now, and we're starting to see it. So it's exciting. I don't know. I think I'm more excited about like this, just the general topic of having, right, the Bitcoin halving. What does that mean? Because as exciting as like BlackRock and Tesla and all-time highs and all this stuff is, these are all things that are taking place outside of Bitcoin, right? But why is it happening? And like when you understand how Bitcoin is constructed, and the halving schedule that we'll be talking about today, you start to realize like, oh my God, that's why the demand is so high, because like of just the way this thing is architected. It's genius. And it's like, especially in this world where everybody's hurting because of inflation, right? In the last few years, people are like, oh, inflation's out of control. Not when you live on the Bitcoin standard, right? When you consider Bitcoin kind of like money or whatever you want to call it, and it's deflationary, it totally changes the paradigm. So yeah, I'm excited about the all-time high. And some people were saying on Twitter that in the past this never happened, where the all-time high was broken prior to the halving. Usually the halving happens and then the all-time high is broken. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't think anything is guaranteed, but it definitely, I think like I said, the halving thing is guaranteed. You can count on that happening.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a quick note for our audience, guys, आपके जो भी सवाल हो in English or Hindi, please, type away. We'll be very happy to address your queries, your questions regarding Unocoin, regarding the market, regarding Bitcoin, anything in general that you want to ask. The chat boxes are open on all the platforms. Please feel free to drop a question, or even, give your opinion on what we are discussing. We'd be very happy to interact, because then again, this is the whole purpose of our live streams. So Sunny, like your gym friend, I think said congratulations. I think all of us deserve a big congratulations. You for been here past 10, 12 years now. Me for 2, 3 years. For everyone watching this stream, to for sticking around, right? Because they did not give in to FOMO. They did not give in to all those emotional greed and fear stuff. Rather, they stuck to the original. What do we call it? Like original principles of Bitcoin, and just believed in it and understood what it is. So I mean, it's a big congratulations for everyone. But what I want to also understand before we hop on to halving and understanding what halving is, did you really expect this kind of a price increase happening before halving?
Did I expect? I mean, there's only one thing I only talk about, right? I never talk about anything else but
Yeah.
Bitcoin. So, and I said, like, I used to think Bitcoin was going to $1 million. Today, I think I can see $1 million being the floor in no time. So I'm incredibly bullish on Bitcoin. In fact, I'm more bullish on Bitcoin today than I was 10 years ago. So I am not surprised. A lot of people were saying too um, that because of the FTX and all that like nonsense that was taking place last year, that if it wasn't for all that, the Bitcoin would already be at 100K. So right now, in many ways, it's just like finding its price and it's springboarding back to maybe what it should be. I don't know. I mean, my theory, as you know, is like short term, I have no idea. right? Like I said, like yesterday there was like a 5% or 7% drop. But long term, I have a high degree of conviction that Bitcoin is, the future of money, and so and if you do what we always talk about, which is what dollar cost average or systematic buying plan or whatever you want to call it, then it's like win-win, right? Because when the price goes up, you're like, great, like my Bitcoin's worth more. When the price goes down, you're like, great, I'm going to be able to buy more today or this month or whatever it might be. So yeah, so I'm excited. I think it's a good time. I think a lot of people are onboarding at Unocoin too. We're seeing, the number of signups are growing, the volume. I think, I was looking at it yesterday. It was like 1,000%. It had grown in the last month or whatever. We're still small compared to some of the other guys in India, but Unocoin's, we're playing our part. We're catching up.
Absolutely. I also believe that Unocoin has got a different path, that comes from the name itself, Unocoin. And, and you've explained it to me, the meaning behind the name Unocoin. So definitely it follows a different path towards empowering people, towards bringing Bitcoins to billions. And I think Unocoin is doing great on following that part. And obviously there are other players in the, in the country, and they're also doing great. But then again, not to be too snarky to comment on any other person's business, but at the same time, as a stakeholder in a certain small industry, it's your responsibility to educate people towards the right stuff. So I don't see that happening a lot, but I'm really happy that we at Unocoin are doing that, directing people towards the right things. So yeah, that is absolutely there. Besides that, Sunny, growth and everything, obviously more wider adoption, simply it indicates that more and more people are now getting into Bitcoin or learning about this industry and stuff, which happens close to every bull cycle, I guess. But what is that one thing that really excites you about having?
What excites me about having?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, so like I said, if I had to think of one thing that Bitcoin solves for, if I had to, it's okay. If I had to think of one thing, like if I had to articulate one thing that Bitcoin solves for, it would be this idea of scarcity, right? And as I mentioned earlier, is like in inflation, we don't need to talk about it anymore. I think most people understand what inflation is and how painful it is, and how when the cost of goods just keep going up and up and up, it's very painful. And you get paid in a certain salary and you're trying to keep up with inflation, it's very difficult. Yeah. But Bitcoin is not inflationary, it's deflationary, right? Which means that the number of Bitcoins that come into existence are going down over time. And so to me, that the fact that it solves for inflation, meaning if you don't believe in the whatever's going on with, like, let's say the current kind of system, you can just opt out. You can just literally just convert your fiat currency into Bitcoin, and now you're no longer part of an inflationary system. You're part of a deflationary system, right? And so what does that mean? How does Bitcoin achieve that deflationary nature? Is kind of at the heart of what halving is about, and all of that. So technically speaking, so the Bitcoin's blockchain operates on something called a proof of work, right? I'm sure you've heard of that. It's essentially like a consensus mechanism, where miners compete to solve mathematical puzzles. Okay, so the analogy I'm going to use later on is gold mining. Okay, so to explain kind of like what like an analogy with gold mining, just to help people understand. So imagine I had this big mountain, right, that I'm digging into, and I hired a bunch of people, and I told all those people, like, look, every day at the end of the day, I'm going to give you 50 nuggets of gold. But because I'm the gold miner and I'm owning the operation, I know that as time goes on, it's going to get harder and harder to mine more gold, because it's going to get deeper and whatever in the ground. And so I tell everybody, okay, but every 4 years, instead of giving you 50, after 4 years, I'll give you 25 gold nuggets. Okay. And then after another 4 years, I'll give you half of that, 12 and whatever it is. Right. And then after that, it'll be 6. So that's essentially what happens with the Bitcoin protocol. So when Satoshi Nakamoto designed Bitcoin, he essentially put this into the code, into the actual like fiber of Bitcoin, right? So it's in the Bitcoin blockchain. And what happens is exactly that. So for example, every 10 minutes when Bitcoin first was invented, 10 whatever 13 years ago, there would be exactly, I believe it was 50 Bitcoins that would come into existence, and that would be rewarded to these miners. Yeah. And so if in gold mining, right, you have mountains and then you have people with axes and picks, right, trying to pick at that, the analogy in Bitcoin mining would be, instead of mountains, you have very complex mathematical puzzles, and instead of like axes and picks, you have people with supercomputers, essentially, with these computers that are designed from the ground up to mine Bitcoin. And the back in the day, because Bitcoin mining wasn't so specialized and whatnot, anybody could just whip up their laptop. Somebody, you could whip up your laptop if you heard about Bitcoin, and you could leave your laptop overnight, and next morning you might have 50 Bitcoins on your laptop, right? But then as time went on, it got harder and harder and harder to mine Bitcoin. And so people started using, GPUs, and they started using different, more hardware specific computers. And then eventually it landed on ASICs. So like now, if you go look at a Bitcoin mining system or whatever, these supercomputers, they literally have like the chips themselves, the ASICs, the application specific integrated circuits, right? These are actually designed for the Bitcoin mining algorithm. And so it's become a whole industry now, right? But essentially these miners are all competing. Every 10 minutes, 50 Bitcoins would come into existence. Then, like I said, approximately 4 years later, so in 2012 was, I think, the first halving. What happened is every 10 minutes, it would be 25 Bitcoins that would be awarded to these miners. And then, like I said, it went to 12.5 in 2016. Then it went to 6.25 in 2020. And the next halving is 3.125, which is the one we're approaching. So meaning every 10 minutes, 3.125 BTC will be awarded to one, lucky miner that essentially gets awarded that. So, I mean, it's a little bit like complicated, but if people remember in math, do you remember the word asymptote? You remember what that means? It's like you have a graph and it essentially starts at 0 and it approaches 21 million. So it approaches 21 million Bitcoins. And the way it approaches that hard limit is because, again, every 4 years, the number of Bitcoins that come into existence get less and less and less. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe I kind of muddied the waters, but that's kind of like my understanding of it. I don't know if you have a
Yeah,
question?
I feel it was a very great explanation, because from when I was reading the Bitcoin standards, the stock to flow ratio was also, a sort of explanation to explain the same concept, which we can talk about. But we have a few questions over here,
Sure.
which let's take them first. Viv here is asking, your SPP is making me some nice money, up by 110% in 1 year with 200 rupees daily purchase. Hi Viv, thank you so much, for giving us this feedback. I'm
Who said
sure you.
that?
There's some person named Viv. Viv.
Okay, wow. So that's like the best compliment ever. That's like, yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And congratulations to you, Viv. And that is literally our favorite product. And that's the thing that we tell family and friends about SBP. Yeah. Like just dollar cost average or whatever it is into Bitcoin. And you don't have to worry about the emotional part. You can sleep at night and you have a strategy that's like that works every day. And like I said, when the price drops, you get happy because you're like, oh, I can buy more Bitcoin. When it goes up, you're like, oh, great, my Bitcoin's up. So great job, Vid. Thank you for that comment.
Yes, absolutely. Congratulations, and keep hodling, keep believing in Bitcoin, and keep learning about it. That is the essential part, and I think that's what we're also trying to help you do. And I'm sure you learn about it yourself. So thank you so much. Viv has another comment here. If gold price goes up, they just dig more. But if BTC's rate is capped, irrespective of the price, it's brilliant. Indeed, it is, and can't agree more. NS Kanwal here is saying, can we consider Bitcoin as an alternative of fiat in 10 years down the line?
Can we consider it? That's the $1 trillion question. I don't know. I think some of us believe yes. Others will. I don't know if you saw the interview by the RBI governor yesterday. It was quite interesting to see his remarks.
I
I'm sure he would perhaps disagree. Um, yeah, I mean, what was it that it might be important to talk about it. He talked about how in the last bull run a couple years ago, there was like a level of exuberance, I think was the word that he used, or something like that, right? And whereas now it seems like people are a little bit more aware of the risks associated with it. So I think that's I don't know, interesting comment. I just find it cool that you can't ignore Bitcoin no matter who you are.
yeah, I was gonna
Reporters
say
will ask you, and it's just
I was I was
the
just gonna
best.
say that even for these people right now, no matter what they're saying is a big achievement in itself. You know, RBI governor talking about it, and something that I particularly noticed, which also one of the fellow industry enthusiasts also posted about, which is when Mr. Governor was obviously answering that question. You see a little bit of shakiness in his body language and everything, which I happen to notice. It's a very personal opinion, and I'm not saying that maybe he was particularly shaky while answering this, but I felt that, and maybe that is because in heart he knows what is Bitcoin and how it's gonna help people. But again, he's sitting at a position where he has to put the general people's well-being before his own opinions. So I'm just trying to make it better, but yeah.
Yeah, I
People
think the main thing
talking
is the future doesn't equal the past. So just because Bitcoin's gone up so much, who knows if it'll continue? But if you look at the last 10 years, the performance has been astronomical. And if you dollar cost average, like the way Viv mentioned, you'd be up. You'd be up big time. And I think now with us hitting all time highs, that technically officially means that everybody is up. Anybody who's watched our videos here every week, or anybody that took our advice 10 years ago or a month ago or a week ago, technically they're up, unless they took our advice yesterday, in which case they're down or whatever it was. I think it's down, but that's the key, is to have a long-term view. And that's why these like financial companies like BlackRock and stuff, they win and the average person loses, because the average person, they're just in it for a quick buck, right? They're just, oh, it didn't go up today, so I'm going to leave. But if you can take a long-term view and just put a little bit, 200 rupees a day, that's gonna like literally put a smile on my face all day. The fact that Viv's doing that, yeah. And then if others can do that as well, it will change your outlook on money and everything, right? Yeah, I think you were gonna say something. Did I interrupt you, or do we have some more questions? But Viv, great question. If anyone has any comments they want to share like that,
was
oh, we're
my
all ears.
yes. Now, this question was by NS Kanwal, and he's asking one more question. How fast will Bitcoin go to 1 million?
I don't know. Maybe 10 years, maybe 2 years. I don't know. Maybe 1 year. Who knows? I don't think
Yeah.
anyone knows. I think it's hard to say. And will it even, right? We don't know. I'll tell you right now, I don't think within 10 years we would have expected the price to be, what is it, 60,000 or whatever, 70,000 almost. So I think a lot of people are pleasantly surprised by that. So I think, I mean, if it, let's say, hits 100,000, right, or whatever in the next little bit, going to a million is only like a 10x move. So Bitcoin has done 10x, 20x in the past. And so it's not out of the question that, it could go to a million in this next bull run. But again, nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows. But maybe it goes to like 500 or something. Yeah, maybe 750. And then it retracts and pulls back and stays there for many years. And then in the next bull run, it hits it. So I don't think anyone knows exactly. But the idea is like, long term, given that the supply is decreasing every 4 years, given that BlackRock and nation states and Tesla and more and more companies are adopting Bitcoin, like Michael Saylor is doing with MicroStrategy, which is just like the most crazy, like amazing move ever. That guy is so smart. Anyway, so I don't know. I mean, as more companies start to say, hey, our balance sheet, maybe we should be, what if Apple tomorrow said, hey, maybe we should convert 1% of our balance sheet. Like, I mean, what's his name? Tim Cook knows about Bitcoin. I think they put the Bitcoin white paper on everybody's computer or something. I heard like a little while ago. So they know what's coming. So it's for that, when that day comes, we'll look back and say, oh, $1 million of Bitcoin. That was like, good story that we can tell each other. But maybe it goes way beyond that. So I don't think anyone really knows what the top is. And if you look at the fundamentals of like money printing and what's happening with the world and with COVID and and like how much like money has been printed,
Yeah.
right? You compare that to Bitcoin where it's going the other way and it's halvening and it's lower. It's like, how could people not, right? I mean, after a while, like I said, now when I'm at the gym, like so many people talk just out of the blue. Hey, yeah, and now they're talking about Bitcoin. Oh, now that BlackRock's in, I'm definitely getting in. It's like this is obvious now, and I don't know. It's funny. I think people love it or hate it. They're just like talking about it, which is interesting. Yeah, after 3 years of like just you and me talking about it.
Yeah, and honestly, Sunny, if I have to tell you, a brief story of, what my perspective was when I started learning about Bitcoin and everything. So, I always wanted control over my life, right? And that is why I want to make my own money, be independent, be able to take my own financial, whatever decisions I want to make in life, never depend on anyone. And when I came across Bitcoin, right, it just clicked. Whatever money I'm making, to have control over my life, am I having the control over that money itself because the value is decreasing? How am I having a control over it? Imagine me storing all of that money in Bitcoin. I actually have the control over, how I'm going to treat that money. Otherwise, it's not happening the way it is supposed to with fiat. And that is when it hit me with fiat and Bitcoin theory. That is what I keep telling a lot of people, right? Over the years, in your corporate work experience, in your business, see, your workload increases, but the money that you are making for the same or say more amount of efforts, it's just decreasing year by year. And it's so much more in so many other countries like Argentina, and I can name so many countries right now. But there's nothing that can solve that but Bitcoin. And that's why we see so many Argentinian people also being so bullish in Bitcoin, talking about Bitcoin, creating those all those campaigns. It's really interesting to see.
No, and you're right though. I was gonna say is that it's so funny that more people don't talk about this, but money is like it's your very life force, right? Like you're waking up early, you're going to work, you're earning money, and you're saving money, but that's your life force. Like that's what hopefully will help us retire someday, and and enable us to buy whatever we want. And that very thing that everybody's running after, right? Like everybody, parents, old people, young people, powerful people, poor people, everybody's running after the one thing, yet that thing is corrupt. Right? And so and here we are, like we have this knowledge of Bitcoin where, yeah, 10 years ago there was even this question in our head, maybe we are crazy, maybe we do see something that isn't real. But today when you fast forward and you see like I said, Elon Musk saying, hey, we're gonna embrace whatever, and you have BlackRock, it's like it's exciting because you start to see, well, wait, no, we were right, and we're going to be right, and this is going to play out. And so now it's just I think it's more of what we've been doing, which is educating people. I want to start doing more podcasts and start my own show, maybe even again. I was doing the Bitcoin stories thing a while ago, right? Yeah. So I was thinking of starting something. I was thinking of starting something called the Sunny Ray Show. And that way I could just like talk about whatever I want, Bitcoin obviously being the main thing, but just go in different directions as well. Yeah. Okay, should we go back to halving, or do we have some more questions we want to take?
We actually have a few questions here in the comment
Questions are
box.
great. Yeah, questions are the best.
Enes Kanwal has one last question here. When will the last Bitcoin be mined, and will
Oh,
it
wow.
survive till that date?
What a great question. What a great question. Yeah, more questions like that, please. 2140. Okay, by 2140, you could say technically, because like I said, it's essentially, I mean, Yes, so it starts at zero when it was invented in 2008, 9, or whatever it was, and then it like if I were to draw it on a graph, it would start here, and then it would like go up, and it would slowly start approaching a line at like if you draw a dotted line, that's what an asymptote is. At 21 million, it would approach 21 million, and the point at which all of the Bitcoin, the Satoshis are all mined is around that year 2140, where there's no, lots of new Bitcoin coming into existence. And I guess the question is, well, the first question is will it exist till then? I don't know. Michael Saylor believes that this is going to be around for potentially thousands of years. I kind of lean in that direction. I think it's super genius, but then who knows, right? Like with AI and everything coming, quantum computing and blah blah blah, maybe there'll be some other form, but for right now it seems like Bitcoin could be definitely the standard for quite some time. And then what happens? Like what happens after 2140? Let's say this becomes the thing for thousands of years. What happens after 2140? Short answer, fees. So like miners would essentially take tiny fees for transacting Bitcoin. So right now you pay fees as well. And the mining and the new Bitcoins that come into existence offset those fees and enable us to have, fairly reasonably low fees. But then there's Lightning and all that. That's like different, right? But at the core, essentially it'll be managed by fees. So it won't be free to send Bitcoin. It will cost, something, but only when you're sending Bitcoin at the base layer, like the real Bitcoin, right? Now, but again, for people like coffee and people to do smaller transactions, you'll have things like Liquid, you'll have things like Lightning, like layer 2 solutions that sit on top of Bitcoin, essentially. Yeah.
That's so interesting. One thing that comes to my mind that Bitcoin is finances and technology's prodigal child. People say more often than not, I'm sure you must have heard this so many times in the past 10, 12 years that it's too good to be true, right? Bitcoin, the concept of Bitcoin. But it's funny how it is too good and it is true. So this entire system, I mean, to put that kind of intellectual effort and bringing it all together and creating it, oh my god. Sometimes I imagine.
Wait. Oh, sorry, Shamba. We continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. Yeah. Finish that. Yeah.
So sometimes when I think, somebody having such cerebral capacity, it just blows my mind because, oh my God, that's crazy. And I'm not sure even if Elon Musk would have that kind of an intellectual capacity.
I don't know, but I agree with you. I think, I mean, to me, Bitcoin gives me so much hope, and I think in humanity, and knowing that that one person potentially, right, that one person can have such an outsized impact on the world through code, through math, through computer science, through just through an idea. I mean, what a beautiful thought. I think it's amazing. I think, yeah, like I said, I mean, I had a very kind of dark outlook towards the world. Like when you realize what the fiat system is like and how everything is stacked against you. And, we're just talking about inflation, right? But like inflation is just the last piece of it. It's like if you think about it, whatever money you make, you have to first pay what? Tax, right? And if you make a lot of money, you're paying 50% tax in places like Canada. If you make less money, you're paying less, but you're paying tax. And then it's not just you pay income tax. After you get money, you pay the tax, then you pay tax on the stuff you buy, right? So you make money, you pay tax. You spend money, you pay tax. You save money, you pay tax. You die, you pay tax. And then once they've taxed, and they can't tax you anymore, they inflate. They print more and more of the money, which is like a hidden tax, right? So at the end of the day, the life force that you put into your work, what you're left with is not 50% or 30%. It's like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent that you're putting in that you actually have left for you and for your future and for your family. Bitcoin completely changes all of that, right? And it gives us again this like parachute, this like ejection seat, and allows us to take our future, the control back into our hands. And where it's like, again, there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with it. Like you have to save your Bitcoin in your own wallet, etc., etc. But it's beautiful because, again, the counterparty, it's mathematics and it's deflationary and it's limited. It's like all these beautiful things that you're looking for in money. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
crazy. It's crazy. And so, yeah, I think Bitcoin is, it's a revolution. So people should learn more about it, and dollar cost average, like Viv. Did we have more questions, Shambhavi?
Yeah, we do have
Wow.
some. Um, Pradeep was saying Bitcoin has already hit millions in various countries, and we were saying Shanti Kanta Das is our version of Elizabeth Warren. Pradeep was also saying RBI governor is right about crypto, but not regarding Bitcoin. Now, I think altcoin would be a better term to address crypto because Bitcoin is a crypto, and I actually prefer calling all of these other coins altcoins. I feel
Sure.
like that's a better theory.
Sure. But I think Pardeep is definitely onto something. I agree. I think Bitcoin is very different, and look, I mean, if you play this game out right, like with MicroStrategy, what's happening with Michael Saylor, I mean, he has found an exit from the matrix, right? Like I don't know what he's doing exactly. I don't even want to try and articulate it, but every day or every couple of days I wake up, oh, he's buying another $700 million worth of Bitcoin, and you know, so he's figured out a way to, I mean, his stock price, from what I'm hearing, has been like outperforming Bitcoin, right? Because of what he's doing. So, look, I, this is just my prediction. I could be wrong, but I believe that what will eventually start happening is central banks will say, like, think about it, right? Right now, the US dollar, when they get into a war with Russia, they start closing bank accounts, they start freezing funds. So Russia's a big country, and people around the world are like, "Hey, that's not like okay." Like if you heard that Putin interview last whatever it was with Tucker, that was one of the things he said. He's like, the U.S. dollar, like they're doing all these things. So more and more people are realizing that the U.S. dollar might not be the best. Like kind of preserver of wealth, or like this like this kind of like middleman type of currency that's often used, right, to settle for oil, for everything. And so if central banks realize that Bitcoin could be a far better solution, then the play would be for central banks to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets just like they used to do with gold. And the crazy thing is when that happens, central banks can print as much money as they want. So technically, they should have this like crazy competition between one another. And again, this is not going to happen, I don't think, anytime soon. But like, if you look at the game theory of all this, eventually one central bank like El Salvador, or maybe like Malay, or some country might just start again printing money for the purpose of hodling Bitcoin for the nation state, whatever that they represent. And then I think you would see something crazy happen with the Bitcoin price. Yeah, like I mean, what we're seeing now would even be dwarfed by it. That's what I'm saying, is that Bitcoin is key. It's like for the average person, if you care about your life force, don't put more into it than you can afford to lose, obviously, right? But dollar cost averaging 100 rupees, 200 rupees that you would have spent at, wasted anyways, it's not a bad idea. Yeah. And you might just end up with generational wealth.
I completely agree. I mean, in a day, how many times does that happen that, we just spend 200 to 300, 500, 600,000, 2,000 bucks just like that. And we never
Exactly.
even think about that. So, I mean, I have this practice. I don't know, for how many people is that, will that make sense? But I have this very nice practice where I have a certain amount of budget for my entire day, for my, weekdays and for my weekends. On weekends, this is my daily budget. On weekdays, this is my daily budget, like a stash. This is the amount that I'm going to spend, not more than that. Unless and until, of course, it's an emergency or something. So whatever money I save from that particular day, say I had 1,000 rupees for a certain day, if I spent only 200 or say 400, the remaining 600 I would keep it in a separate bank account. The next month, whatever amount I would have collected, I would put that in SBP. So that is how I do this. And
You're a genius. You're a genius. Yeah, Viv, Shambhavi, you guys are going places. Yeah, no, that's the best. And like I said, and then you don't have like, again, Unocoin is a trading platform, so I should be advocating for like trading, right? Like buy, sell, buy. But truth is I can't. I mean, I have to tell the truth. And yes, I believe in freedom and your ability to sell. And here's the thing is that, like you said, sometimes emergencies come up, and they've come up even in my life, not just once, but many times. And you need to, unfortunately, and it's like the most painful experience ever, right? But sometimes life doesn't go the way you expect it. And so Bitcoin acts as a savior in those times, right? You can cash it out and you can actually get rupees or dollars or whatever. But in the interim, when you are making money, do what Shambhavi's doing, right? I mean, it's highly recommended. Dollar cost average into Bitcoin or SBP into Bitcoin.
yeah, SBP is a great feature. And I have something more, but then we'll take comments, otherwise our audience gonna get annoyed that these two just keep talking and they're not listening to us. So okay, let's say what we were saying. We were saying BlackRock and Fidelity are purchasing a lot of Bitcoin on a daily basis, but don't you think that the same can be said when they decide to sell? The sheer volume these guys are doing is astounding.
That's a good point. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, if the quite so wait, let me read it one more time. Is purchasing a lot of Bitcoin, but don't you think the same can be said when they decide to sell? Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I mean, I think this is a very good point. Um, and in fact, maybe some people are suggesting that they may do that on purpose to show the world, hey, look, Bitcoin price fell so much, and you can't trust it. Who knows? Maybe this is an attack vector in itself. So yeah, I think there's a lot of like as exciting as this is, and as bullish as it is, and oh my God, they're buying 10x what they're what's being mined, etc., etc. But yes, it's foreseeable that they sell. And so, but again, it's like there's the world, but then there's Bitcoin, right? So if you just learn about Bitcoin and you understand what Bitcoin is, and the fact that it's decentralized, and yes, BlackRock controls some of it, but then you could argue Michael Saylor also controls some of it, and sorry, I can't pronounce his name, but the prime minister or president of El Salvador, because he's got the volcano that's mining. Or you could say, oh, the miners control it. Or you could say the people that have lots of Bitcoin from early on. But it's not true. So that's what I'm saying is like there's this beautiful like balance of power. And while, yes, short term things may get ugly, and that's why, again, the key is not to try and time the markets, not to try and outsmart BlackRock, but to just have a long-term thesis. And if that thesis is, well, the number of Bitcoins is limited and the overall value and utility is immense, and more people are going to probably adopt it, then you say, okay, I'm just going to dollar cost average. And if, like I said, if the price drops a lot over a day or 2 days, you're essentially buying more Bitcoin. And if it goes up, like I said, your value of your Bitcoin is going up. So that's why, again, all roads lead to dollar cost averaging. And again, I think this halvening thing that's coming, many people say it's priced in. I don't really know, to be honest. Is it priced in? Is it not? Sell the news, this, that, I don't know. But what I do know that it's a fact. And around the halvening time, more and more people talk about it. And it's kind of this like self-fulfilling prophecy, just like how you and I are chatting about it. Yeah, more people get reminded of it, more people learn about it, and they're like, whoa, this is a thing? Like, that doesn't even sound real. And then they dig in and they do their own research, and then they look at the code or get their son or kids to look at it. And then they wake up to the fact that, oh my God, this is like the future of money. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting a lot of also friends, like, again, like people that I haven't talked to in 30 years that are like, oh, my son's made all this money on NFTs and, altcoins and this and that, just to save people time. Like, I'm probably gonna like listen to your whole story and stuff, but ultimately I'll just tell you about Bitcoin. So you might as well just save yourself that conversation and yeah, just dollar cost. Do what Viv is doing.
Yeah, exactly. But Sunny, something that I've seen lately with a lot of people that I keep meeting now that I'm getting a little deeper with the community and get in touch with more and more people developing things, technologies on the sides. I just keep listening to what they're doing so as to expand my horizons of knowledge. Something that I've really noticed that most of these people are really bullish on Bitcoin. Now, what they're doing is they're making some art, they're creating NFTs out of it, they're making that money and then they're putting that money into Bitcoin. Same goes for trading. A lot of people, what they're doing is they're trading, they're making money out of these altcoins, and whatever profits they're making, they're putting that again to Bitcoin. So eventually it's all moving to Bitcoin. And that is
Exactly.
something that really
Yeah.
interesting that I came across.
Yeah, people never hodl other things. They never, their plan is they won't even go to sleep holding other things, right? So the strategy always is for everyone, even people who trade shit coins or altcoins or crypto, whatever you would call it. They're all, I mean, the smartest ones are the people who spend a lot of time doing it. They're always optimizing for maximizing their Bitcoin. So that's why you're just better off buying Bitcoin and not getting too, cute about this and just taking possession of it and just like I said, not getting too emotional about it, but just having a strategy that is long term. Yeah, and that's what's worked for a lot of people. And again, the future doesn't predict, or the past doesn't predict the future, but again, like I said, like someone else said, actually, is when there's a lot of interest in gold, oh, the mining companies will just start mining more. You know what I mean? So like the supply, it's not like even diamonds. I heard recently, like because the diamonds, they've like created like an abundance of them or something, they literally keep them in vaults to create artificial scarcity. But that scarcity is artificial, right? Whereas
Yes.
Bitcoin, unlike gold, unlike diamonds, unlike anything else, it's verifiably true. Like if they're saying there's 18, 19, whatever million Bitcoins in existence, it's like you can prove it using math, and it's open source. It's not hidden behind someone's server or whatever in some dark shady place. It's like it's all out there. Oh my god, I think I'm a little bit too excited about Bitcoin, but maybe this is the time to get to really wrap it up with everyone
Yeah,
else
we're
asking.
almost reaching the end of our session in like 13 more minutes. We have one question, and then I have something to add to your point here that you just mentioned. So we'll take Abhijit's question first. Abhijit is saying, "Good evening. Good evening, Abhijit. Just wanted to know where are we having sats? Having sats now? Are we early adopters or early majority?"
I would say early adopters still. Like I think early adopters is what, the first 2.5% or something of the population, if I'm not mistaken. I forget the exact number, but I would say we're still way, way early. Like it feels that way, at least. Even though like Larry Fink is talking about it, I don't think most people, like 9 out of 10 people on the street, like no one, like no, most people have no clue about this. I think it's still very off into the like corners of the internet and Twitter, and maybe some people are bringing it up in conversations, but where the majority of people are seriously considering allocating some, I don't think we're there yet. So yeah, so I think there's still a long way ahead. Yeah, so I think yeah, like I said, I think it's early adopters, if I'm not mistaken. What is that curve called again? It's called the innovation cycle or something.
Ah, I have no idea.
You have no idea. I'll find it. Yeah, I see it here. Yeah, so they say, what do they say? Oh, early adopters is 13.5%. Innovators is 2.5. So I would say we're the innovators. Not early majority, not early adopters. I would say innovators for sure in that first 2.5%. Yeah, if you're getting into Bitcoin now, if you're listening to this or you're buying, if you're like Viv, I would consider you still like an innovator and very early. Because we're only 10 years in, and money has been around for a lot longer than that. So if this is to be around for, a couple hundred years or 1,000 years, then yeah, you're very, very early. I think we're all very, very early.
Absolutely, and this is the beauty of this. Like I keep saying, this is a place of rare intellects. Not everybody is blessed with the mindset or say mental or cerebral capacity to understand this so early. Because what majority people do when people around them start talking about certain hype or certain thing, that's when they adopt to it. I got onto Instagram when my friends were on Instagram. So it works like that. But Bitcoin, if you're able to understand this right now, you're super early. And to add to your previous point, Sunny, about diamonds being artificially rare. So interestingly, just a few days back on a WhatsApp group. I don't know if you're a part of it, but it's a Bitcoin only people's WhatsApp group. So there's a friend. He just happens to send this tweet of his that would be proposing somebody with a wallet, treasure wallet, I guess it was. So instead of a diamond, so that seems like a more reasonable proposal than that, because then again, the point of proposing with diamonds was initially to show how important or valuable a certain person is. Now, see,
That's right.
diamonds are not at all valuable.
A
So,
crypto ring,
crypto ring. Imagine Bitcoin wallet ring.
like a
That's
$1 million ring. It's like there's a private key inside.
yeah.
We'll have to talk to the CoinKite guys.
Yeah, actually, this could be a
Yeah.
really good product idea. We should patent this idea.
Done. Working on it. I'll get the prototype ready by end of week. But no, but there's like a ring called, I forget what it's called, but it's like a lot of people are talking about it. It's like helps you sleep, helps you monitor your sleeping patterns and this and that, right? It's like I forget the ring, but what I'm saying is, I don't know, but like like there should be like a crypto or a Bitcoin, forget crypto, like Bitcoin ring, where you can hold your private keys and propose to, but also just like as a way of holding your Bitcoin. I don't know if it's probably not the safest. People will probably come after you, and if they found out, they might come after your finger. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's probably not the most
I think
safe
most,
thing, but it's a
I
good idea. I'm sure people
yeah,
would
it's
buy
a
it.
very good idea. It gives me an idea because most Indian women, they love their jewelry so much they would like to store some sort of a thing into their jewelry or something which they can open later or something. I mean, they keep it, so safely. My mom per se, she keeps it so safely. You cannot know where is her jewelry in the house. Only when she decides to take it out, you'll get to know. Oh, okay, it's there. It's in existence. So I mean, there can be so many
I'm
ways to store
surprised
it.
this doesn't exist, or at least I haven't heard much about it. But that is crazy. Like that is a jewelry business married to like a Bitcoin storage type of thing, right? Where you just design like gold, but inside of it there's like private keys that you can't even access potentially unless you do something like melt the gold or something. I don't know, but like the thought that your jewelry would have Bitcoin inside of it, that's like there you go, you have a business idea, start that. Right, you need to find like a gold jeweler guy or something, and then figure out how to put like a cold, I don't know, an open dime. Look at open dime. Yes, look at open dime. You could just literally melt open dime into like a gold thing. That probably would be your easiest
I
path.
haven't heard of it. As it is,
Open
I
dime is like this little stick, yeah, that you have to
yeah.
break in order to get the Bitcoin. You just look up open dime. They're like, it's by the same guys that make cold card. They're literally like geniuses. Like those guys are like they make art. It's beautiful, and they literally do. They have something called the block clock, I think, which is like the Bitcoin
Huh.
blockchain. You can see it visually in this like clock.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, yeah. But to do the jewelry idea, someone, I think you could. I'm sure people have already probably looked at doing it with Open Dime or something like Open Dime would be the best way.
Actually, as a matter of fact, I come from a long line of jewelers family.
Oh my God, count
My
me in.
father-
If you need advisors, I'm here for you. Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
it's a good idea. I mean, it's an obviously good idea. Like, I mean, people would, yeah, and I'm sure it happens now, right? It's just I just can't think of like, oh, this one company that's doing it, right? Which means that there's probably still a big opportunity for it. Note to
Yes.
self.
What,
You're like, I'm ready.
what
There you go. Work on the business plan. And if Viv is, if Viv or someone's hearing, reach out.
Yes. Okay, so we have a few more comments over here. We'll quickly take this because now we
Sure.
literally have just 5 minutes to finish up. Uh, Pradeep is saying replace treasure with cold card. Pradeep, that wasn't my thing. I think it was someone else's. So yeah, cold card is
Whole
something that
card,
I'm
yeah.
definitely exploring. So
Open Dime, same company but tinier, smaller, and it makes Bitcoin like this. It's like a bearer instrument, I think is a technical term. It's so cool. Like look it up. I have some. I have some around here. I think I forget where.
I
I've
don't know if
shown
you know
people.
this Gajni movie. It's a Hindi Bollywood movie. So it's about a guy who keeps forgetting stuff, after a little traumatic instance in his life. So what he does is to keep all the things as he keeps recalling things. He starts tattooing it on his body all over. And I'm thinking, whenever I get this wallet thing and everything, given that I've heard so much, you have lost your Bitcoin, so many people have lost their Bitcoin, I'm gonna just secretly kind of put it somewhere on my body that nobody can find out. Maybe back of my neck, somewhere, and it's going to be there. So I'll be like chilled out. I can never lose my keys. That is my idea.
Yeah, but if somebody yeah, but you'll be wanting to be careful about that one too because
Yeah. It has to be
because
somewhere, it doesn't come to common notice, like behind my ear.
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, let's say like, yeah, you just yeah, look up Casa. Look up
Okay.
Casa, okay? Like if you care about security and you care about it like to the nth degree, because there's a level beyond Trezor and Cold Card, you know that, right? It's called
Mhm.
Casa.
Okay.
Uh, and casa means home in Spanish. In fact, I'm gonna be reaching out to these guys soon, but I gotta talk to them. But they have this wallet, right? It's an iPhone wallet where when get going, it uses something called multi-signature to like
Yes,
secure your
multi-signature.
Bitcoin,
Right.
and then you take your Trezor and your Cold Card and your Ledger, and you can plug it in to this one unified system. And now, to access your Bitcoin, you would need two of three. Do you follow
Yes.
me? And in one of your things, you could put it in a bank vault. One, you could dig a hole in the middle of a ground in the middle of somewhere that no one's going to find and remember that GPS. Another one, you could keep at your home, whatever. But the point is a bad guy would need to attack two of those locations simultaneously in order for them to get the money. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how you like secure it like a military grade style or like a bank or like the way exchanges think, right? Is you want to use multi-sig. And again, the short answer there is look up another one is called Unchained
Yes, I would
Capital.
be
They do that. I've interviewed these guys as well. We've known them for a long time. And then Casa is the one that that I know of that's like really, really awesome. And Jameson Lop is a legend. But yeah, but Bitcoin, that's the way. But you don't want to write it on your body because, or even signal to the world that you have, because then they'll like try and, I don't know, do bad things to you. And then now it's like, oh, easy, we got our coins. Like, do not, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
then I'll become the prime target. So
yes. It should be that even if they get you, your security system should be built in such a way where even if they get you, you literally cannot give away your Bitcoin. Do you know what I mean? Like, because now you need to go to multiple locations and you got to get the thing from the vault and you got to go get on a plane and go to Bombay because your other, Ledger wallet is there, and you just make it impossible. And then now you're no longer, a target.
actually, just last night itself, where I was on a call with Adit, and he was explaining me about Unchained and uh, all of this multi-signature stuff, which he had only told me about previously, but he was explaining me the concept a little further. It was really interesting. Even I was trying to remember where have I heard the word casa, so that's where. So okay. We have few questions. 1 minute to
Great.
go. Quickly see. NS Kanwal has got a really good question. Any possibility of a Bitcoin fork again?
I don't know. I don't see one coming. I mean, these forks usually happen because there's some sort of contention within the community. With the last couple of forks or whatever it was, there was like this concept of big blocks versus small blocks. And, there were certain people that wanted big blocks. And then, and then that was like it required like a protocol change that the masses didn't. So you can see these coming a little bit. I don't think there's one in the near horizon, nor do I think there's going to be one, because I don't see why there would be. You might have, I mean, Bitcoin forks. I think there are many of them out there. It's not just the Bitcoin Cash and the ones you hear about. There's actually lots of them. So they could be happening like without us even maybe knowing about it. But in terms of something major where I see some big, problem in Bitcoin, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't see something coming. Short answer. Yeah, but yet, by the way, I have a few more. I don't know if you have time on your schedule or not, but I do have a few more minutes after this. If we wanted to answer everyone's question.
I'm not sure if the stream will continue after this. Mazula, if you can give us an update on that, because usually the time is limited to 1 hour and few minutes. So I'm not sure about that. But we can sure take it up in another session or maybe a
Sure.
spaces or something, and discuss
Yeah,
more.
yeah, we should start doing spaces again. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Sounds
I'll
good.
I'll get in touch with the team and see what are the arrangement that we can make to get started with. And okay, on this note, we had such an amazing conversation today, and so innovative, such interesting talks, such interesting comments. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you so much, Sunny, for your time today, and for such interesting insights on everything. It was just a very insightful session. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again next week. Bye bye.